You are standing at the bottom of a hole that you dug yourself, and the walls are starting to crumble. I know that feeling. I know the way the air feels thin when you realize your bank account is in the negatives and the rent is due in 48 hours. You look up, and the light at the top of that hole seems miles away. You tell yourself that if you just had more money, everything would be fine. But that is the first lie your brain tells you to keep you safe from the truth. The truth is that money is just a symptom. The hole you are in was built with psychological bricks, bad habits, fear-based decisions, and an identity that was never designed to hold wealth. I remember a time when I sat in my car for 3 hours because I didn't want to go inside my house and face the stack of envelopes on the kitchen table. I felt like a ghost in my own life. I was working 14 hours a day, yet I was slipping further behind. I thought I was a hard worker, but I was actually a frantic runner on a treadmill that was powered by my own anxiety. If you are there right now, listen to me. The hustle won't save you if your brain is still wired for scarcity. Clinical research into human behavior shows that when we are under extreme financial pressure, our executive function, the part of the brain that handles logic and long-term consequences, effectively goes offline. You are operating on a survival drive that is designed to find food and shelter for the next 10 minutes, not to build a business for the next 10 years. You are literally making yourself poorer by being stressed about being poor. The first psychological trick to stop the bleeding is what I call radical neutrality. Most people in a financial crisis treat their debt like a monster under the bed. They won't look at it. They guess how much they owe. They avoid the apps. They hide the statements. This creates a shadow in your mind that is 10 times larger than the actual problem. You need to strip the emotion away from the numbers. Numbers are just symbols. They don't have the power to hurt you unless you give them your soul. You need to sit down and do a cold audit. Write every single debt, every single expense, and every single cent of income on a physical piece of paper. Do not use a screen. There is a neurological connection between the hand and the brain that forces you to process reality when you write it down. When you see the total sum, your heart will probably race. That's good. That's your nervous system realizing that the monster has a specific size. It isn't infinite. It's a number, and any number can be divided, subtracted, and conquered. You move from, I'm a failure, to, I have a $42,000 problem to solve. One is a death sentence. The other is a project. The second trick involves a complete identity restructure. We spend our lives trying to protect an image of ourselves that we can't afford. You are likely in this hole because you tried to live the life of the person you wanted to be, rather than the person you actually were. You bought the clothes, the car, or the dinners to prove to a world that doesn't care that you are doing okay. To get out, you have to kill that version of yourself. You have to embrace being the internal crisis architect. An architect doesn't care about looking cool. An architect cares about structural integrity. When you shift your identity to a person who is restructuring a life, you stop feeling ashamed of saying no to expensive outings or selling things you don't need. You start to find a strange, gritty pride in your frugality. You realize that your value isn't tied to your net worth, but to your ability to manage your resources. This change in internal posture lowers your cortisol levels. When cortisol drops, your creativity returns. Suddenly, you start seeing ways to generate income that you were too proud to see before. You realize that there is no such thing as beneath you when you are building a foundation. The third trick is resource archaeology. When we are in the pit, we become blind to what we already have. We think we need a big break or a lucky move. But wealth is rarely built on big moves. It's built on the aggressive optimization of small resources. You need to look at your time, your skills, and your physical environment as if you were an outsider looking for hidden value. Maybe you have a skill you've dismissed as just a hobby. Maybe you have 5 hours on a Saturday that you currently spend doom scrolling because you're too tired to think. In the psychology of wealth, those 5 hours are your seed capital. If you treat your time as worthless because you are broke, you will stay broke. You have to value your time at the rate of the person you want to become, not the person you are today. If you want to earn $100 an hour, stop spending your time on $10 an hour distractions. This is the hardest part because it requires you to be honest about your own laziness and your own excuses. The path out of the hole is not a sprint. It's a crawl through the mud until you find solid ground. There will be nights when you feel like the world is laughing at you. There will be days when a surprise expense feels like a punch to the gut. But if you hold on to these three shifts, neutrality over the numbers, an identity built on restructuring, and the relentless use of every small resource, you will look back a year from now and realize that the hole was actually a tunnel. You weren't being buried, you were being planted. The version of you that survives this will be someone that money cannot corrupt and that poverty cannot frighten. You are building a version of yourself that is unbreakable. Now, put down the phone, get that piece of paper, and start the audit. Your new life begins with the first number you write down.